Secondly, let us now look at the development of mining industry in Central Africa. We're looking at agricultural things, but now let us look at the mining industry in Central Africa. So the BSA company held exclusive mine rights in both northern and southern Rhodesia. So when we'll be talking of mining here, we'll be talking of northern and southern Rhodesia mainly, because in Nyasaland there were no mining, there were no mines, there were no minerals as it was detected by the whites. So there were no mines here. So here only mining industry we talk of southern Rhodesia and northern Rhodesia. So we are saying that the BSA company dominated. It had exclusive mine rights to say in northern Rhodesia and southern Rhodesia, no one was supposed to have mines except the BSA company. So on the other hand, it permitted other companies to exploit minerals in these territories. So what happened was that the BSA company was the owner of the mines in southern Rhodesia and northern Rhodesia, but it allowed other companies to also come and exploit those minerals in southern Rhodesia and northern Rhodesia. So these companies, they just paid royalties to the BSA company, or on the other hand, the BSA company, it was holding some shares in those companies to say, all right, mineral rights are for the BSA company. Therefore, they could invite a company to say, all right, if you want to start mining, come here, open a mine, but we, the BSA company, we are going to have the shares in your company. So that's what happened with the BSA company or in mining sector. So let us start with the mining industry in southern Rhodesia. In southern Rhodesia, how was the mining industry flourishing? Because we are looking at the economic development. How did the mining support the economy? So at first, gold production was small due to the transportation problems. But after the construction of the railway line to Beira, gold production slowly increased. So it increased a bit. And it has also to be noted that Mashonaland did not have much gold deposits as it was viewed by the Europeans. But because of this, exploitation of other minerals began. So even though there were no gold in Mashonaland, they also exploited other minerals in Mashonaland. What were these? Number one was coal. Coal was discovered at Wanke in 1903. And in 1906, they discovered chrome at Selukwe in southern Rhodesia in Mashonaland, as well as in 1908, asbestos was also discovered at Shabani. So those were other minerals apart from gold that were also exploited in southern Rhodesia. So actual mining of these minerals began when the railway line was extended into these areas. So when they discovered those things, they were there then. But then there was a problem to say, after they maybe get coal, how are they going to transport it? So after they discovered it, they left that places just like that and started constructing the railway lines into those areas, so that after they extract those minerals, they should be able to carry them to the marketplaces. But what were the challenges that were faced in mining industry in southern Rhodesia? So mining industry in southern Rhodesia also had some problems. What were they? Number one, gold reefs were small and scattered and deep. So the gold mining was taking place, especially in Matabeleland, but the stones that contained gold, they were small and they could easily deplete, and they were also scattered. another one here, another one there, another one there. Therefore, it was a problem, and it was very deep. So to extract those things, it required a lot of labor, and it was high cost. And also the cost of transport were high because Southern Rhodesia is also a landlocked country like Malawi. So Zimbabwe is a landlocked as Malawi. So transport cost again from Southern Rhodesia going to the coast, then it was a problem, and there were high cost of transport. And most companies lacked the required capital. So the companies that were practicing mining there, they did not have enough capital. And also, mining companies lacked enough machinery for digging, just as we have said that uh, gold was deep. Therefore, it required that they should have strong and enough machinery for digging that thing. So, mining companies, they did not have those things, the digging machinery. And shortage of skilled labor. They did not have the skilled labor to do the work, and engineers lacked expertise. So there were engineers there who were guiding the mining of those things. So most of the engineers, they lacked that expertise, and also there were few engineers. So as a result, they failed to do it better. So it has also to be noted that despite these challenges, gold remained the most important export commodity in Southern Rhodesia. So in Southern Rhodesia, gold was the most important export from Southern Rhodesia. So let us look also with the mining industry in Northern Rhodesia, that is Zambia. So the mining of Northern Rhodesia was based on copper. So copper mines were opened at Lone Antwerp, Mfulira, Nkana, Nchanga, Bwana Mkubwa, and Kanseshi. So those were the areas that copper mining started in Northern Rhodesia. So most of copper from Northern Rhodesia was of low quality. So there was a problem there as well, that the quality of copper produced in Northern Rhodesia was of low quality. So just like Southern Rhodesia, the BSA company also had exclusive mineral rights there in Northern Rhodesia. So mining of copper was also in the hands of the BSA company that had exclusive mineral rights. So after 1924, the BSA company offered the mining rights to copper belt in the copper belt in the region of copper there to Rhodesia Selection Trust. That was a company, that one, and the Rhodesian Anglo-American Corporation. So those two companies, they were given permission by the BSA company to start mining in Northern Rhodesia. So Rhodesia Selection Trust, one company, that is Rhodesia Selection Trust, controlled the Lone Antwerp and Fulira. Remember, we have mentioned those places that were gold that had gold deposits or gold mines. So Lone Antwerp and Fulira, they belonged to the Rhodesia Selection Trust. So while the other company, the Rhodesia Anglo-American Corporation, it operated the Nchanga, Bwana Mkubwa, and Nkana mines. So other mines were given to that Rhodesia Anglo-American Corporation. So they were given permission by the BSA to start mining in those areas. Now let us look at the reasons why there was slow progress in copper mining between 1900 and 1924 in Northern Rhodesia. So there were a number of reasons that slowed the mining company or mining progress in Zambia between 1900 and 1924. So the first factor or reason was shortage of capital. So the mining companies, they did not have enough capitals. And number two, difficulties to get coal from Southern Rhodesia and machinery from Britain due to transportation problems. So they were also using coal for, that is for refining those things. So coal was coming from Southern Rhodesia. So the transportation of that coal, it could take time. Hence, there was that slow in the production of copper. And number three, time was wasted cutting the wood. So again, in copper mining in northern Rhodesia, they faced that problem that there were thickets, there were woods there. So much time was spent in cutting the wood. And the First World War also affected the demand and price of copper at the international market. So the period of the First World War also affected the price of copper. Hence, Zambia also was affected. So during the war, many countries could not buy copper from northern Rhodesia because those countries were disturbed by the war. So the extension of railway line from Wanke to Copper Belt between 1904 and 1909 boosted the copper mining of copper in those regions. So the area of copper mines, now they became connected. They were connected with the railway lines that were constructed between 1904 and 1909. And also the greatest challenge of copper mining had been the fluctuating copper prices at the international market. So the market of copper at the international market, it was not stable. It was going up, then down, then up, down like that. So it was fluctuating. So the fluctuating prices at the international market, therefore, it was like unpredictable to say maybe mines this time they can have a target to say, all right, this year we want to reach that target. But you find that that year the market, the international market is not good at all. Hence, they faced that problem. So, however, it has also to be considered that the demand for copper increased in 1920s due to the economic prosperity in Europe. So the economic boom, we're going to look at that in Form 4, whereby we're going to look at the economic boom that triggered industrial prosperity in Europe as well. So there was a stability of the economy in the 1920s in Europe. Hence, the prices of copper now started to go well. So during this period, electric power and the car industry expanded in Europe and USA. So copper used to make submarine cables and electric light, the telegraph wire, and in motor cars. So there was high demand because there was the expansion of car industry or industries or electric power and car industries. They were expanding, hence they needed more copper. So after 1929, the demand of copper, however, decreased due to the Great Depression. This is another thing that we are also going to look at in Form 4 as we look at the second topic in Form 4. We'll be talking of the Great Depression that started in Europe. So during that time, it affected many things, much as in 1920s, early 1920s, there was economic prosperity, but later on, there was that Great Depression. Economy now went bad. So when the economy went bad, it meant that it also affected the market internationally. And between 1931 and 1932, the prices of copper dropped by 42%. So you can look at that. The price dropping by 42%, it meant that it was not good at all. So several mines were closed. That is in northern Rhodesia there. While a lot of people, again, they were laid off. There was no work for most of the people. So up to 1933, only the Lone Antwerp and Nkana mines were there in operation. They are the only ones that survived. But most of the copper mines in northern Rhodesia, they were closed because of that Great Depression. And from mid-1930s, copper export once more rose up due to the hostilities in Europe. So it happened that in mid-1930s, there was the change of environment to say countries in Europe, they were hostile to each other. There was maybe an imminent of war. There was like a pressure, a tension that could spark the war. Therefore, the export of copper now once more it rose up. So many European countries imported copper for the production of arms, firearms, in preparation for the undeclared war. So most of the European countries, they were looking at it to say anytime there must be war. And really, it was about the war that broke out in 1939, the Second World War. So before the Second World War, countries now embarked on importing copper. Hence, the prices of copper again, it rose up. Then in Zambia again, the copper export also flourished. So after the Second World War in 1945, copper prices again, they dropped once again since there was less need for the production of firearms. So after the end of that war, then copper demand again went down. So that's why we are saying that there was the fluctuating prices on the international market. At a certain period, it was on high demand. At a certain period, it was not needed. So as such, the stability of mining, it was not okay. And shortage of labor also affected the production of copper in northern Rhodesia. So the copper belt was sparsely populated. So there were very few people in the copper belt. So they relied much labor force. Uh, uh, the small labor force that was there was also shared with Katanga and southern Rhodesia. So the few labor that was there, it was to stay there in the copper belt. Others to Katanga, others they were going again to southern Rhodesia. As such, we see to it that there was that problem of labor. So let us look at the impact of mining industry in Central Africa. So we'll start by looking at the positive impact of this industry. So number one, we are saying that it gave opportunities for business to local Africans who were able to sell food or the foodstuffs to miners, for example, maize, fish, and many others. And not only that, the opening of mines created employment for the native Africans in Central Africa. And also it provided social services such as the clean water supplies, as well as the healthy facilities both within and the surrounding areas of the mine. So people were able to have the clean water and the healthy facilities like the clinics, the hospitals were opened that is at the mine, which meant that people in the or surrounding the mine, they were able to access these things. And also it led to the rise and growth of some towns in the region, such as we talk of Kitwe, Fulira, Fulira in Zambia, and the Harare, Bulawayo, as well as many others in Zimbabwe. So it led to the development or growth of towns. Another contribution that we see here is it contributed to the growth. So we are saying that it contributed to the development of transport and communication in the region. So mining centers were connected by the railway and the roads. So that network, it provided the transport to the people. And also, the mining activities led to the development of political consciousness among the Africans. So Africans, they became aware how the Europeans were exploiting them on their own land. And when the rebels returned, they were willing to form and join the trade unions and political parties. For example, the Nyasaland African Congress in Malawi. So we see to it that when people were working in those mines, they were exposed to such conditions that were not even good to them. As such, it developed that political consciousness in them to say, right, these people are abusing us in our own land. So what we need to do is we need to form the unions that may be voicing out our grievances. Hence, it led to the formulation of political parties. So we're giving an example here of Malawi. There was that formation of the Nyasaland African Congress, whereby the rebels went to work outside there. After they came back, they saw to it that we are really abused by the whites. Therefore, there is need for us to form our own political parties, so that at least we need to fight for independence. Let us rule ourselves like that. And other negative impacts, a negative impact of mining industry. It led to the growth of towns in the region, and those growth of towns had an impact on the social life of people because it disintegrated families. So women and children suffered a lot as husbands were absent for their families for a long time. So we see to it that people were flocking into those towns where they could find work. As a result, they were not going there with children as well as with their wives. So what happened was that the wives were left home, and there was that separation. There was that separation of the families, and also affected food production in rural areas as many left women and children to work in the fields. So we see to it that the men were flocking into the mine industry. They were flocking to find work outside, and work at home. That is, we talk of farming at home. It was left in the hands of women and children. As a result, it was not all that successful. And also, mining enhanced social problems such as alcoholism and prostitution. So miners could contract sexually transmitted diseases and spread them to their families. So you see to it that when people went to work in the mines there, when they get paid there, it meant that the things that they wanted were at their disposal, including maybe the beverage like the alcohol. They were there, so they were drinking a lot, and it also resulted into some indulging into prostitution. And when they went back, they could carry the diseases they get from prostitution and transfer to the innocent families. And also, mistreatment of workers, e.g., they were whipped or overworked. And also another negative impact was the poor condition of service. So for example, they were poorly fed and low wages. So people were given low wages, and also food that were given there at the workplaces there, they were not adequate, they were not nutritious food. As a result, things were not okay. So that's why we were saying that poor working conditions. So let us look at the development of labor migration in Nyasaland. So people from Nyasaland had been traveling to southern Rhodesia as cattle drivers or else mine workers in Johannesburg, that is South Africa. So development of mining industry in southern Rhodesia and northern Rhodesia required a lot of labor, just as we have looked at it up there to say they wanted a lot of people to work in the mines because they were supposed to dig down those minerals. So for investors to make profit, they needed cheap labor and regular labor. So those people, the miners, the owners of this mining industry, they needed to maximize labor by uh, so that they have more profits. So they needed cheap labor and regular labor, the labor that must be there all the time. It must be there. So African labor was usually in short supply in southern Rhodesia due to exploitation. So shortage of labor caused Europeans to introduce forced labor, which was called chibaro. Chibaro. Yeah, so forced labor was introduced in the mines there. So native laborers, often they escaped from the mines because they were forced there to work there on the conditions that were very bad, and they were not good conditions at all. So again, Rhodesia, southern Rhodesia started recruiting labor from neighboring countries. This point, we mentioned it up there again to say there were few labor as well as the native people, the native in southern Rhodesia. They did not like to work with the Europeans, especially the Ndebele. So because of lack of exploitable minerals and the absence of factories, Nyasaland became a source of cheap labor. So looking at it to say the whites, they did not find the exploitable minerals. They did not find the viable minerals in Nyasaland. Therefore, they thought that we can get the people from Nyasaland and work in southern Rhodesia. So plantation agriculture could not manage to employ the rising population in Nyasaland. So on the other hand, we are saying that we have said that in Nyasaland, the economy was based on agriculture, but still in agriculture, not all the people, they could get employment there. It meant that there were still many other people who wanted employment and they were just staying. So that's why there was that advantage to say, all right, now we are focusing on Nyasaland for agriculture. But why? Why Nyasaland laborers were preferred to native laborers in southern Rhodesia and South Africa? So what happened was that the laborers that were from Nyasaland and those that were from southern Rhodesia as well as South Africa, we see to it that the miners, the owners of the companies, they preferred to use the people from Nyasaland. Why? So Nyasaland laborers accepted low wages, unlike the natives there. That's what even is happening there down in South Africa. You find that even today, many people, they flock to South Africa. But look at the population of South Africa and Malawi. South Africa has got a larger population. But why is it that that population is failing to meet the demand of labor there? You find that the people the employers in South Africa, they prefer the people from Nyasaland or from Malawi today because they accept low wages. So it was also the same during that period or in southern Rhodesia and as well as South Africa. As well as long distance from home prevented laborers from Nyasaland from deserting, unlike the natives. So you see to it that people they were traveling long distance from here going down to Zimbabwe and South Africa. Now there, when they meet bad conditions, sometimes they are prevented from going away or running away or deserting because they could see the distance to say home is very far. So if I run away, where am I going to stay and what am I going to do along the way? So the distance, it prevented them from running away. So let us look at the labor recruiting agencies in Nyasaland by 1907. So there was the Witwatersrand Native Labor Association. So this one, it was W.E.N. Wenla recruited labor for mining industry in South Africa. So this agency was locally known as Witwatersrand Native Labor Association. So the other one was Rhodesia Native Labor Bureau, that was called Mtandizi. Remember Mtandizi, we mentioned also this one. It also recruited the labor for mining in southern Rhodesia as well. And again, there was also the Northern Rhodesia Native Labor Association. So it was NRNLA. It recruited labor for the copper belt that is in Northern Rhodesia. And there was also the Robert Williams and Company. And this one, it recruited labor for the copper belt as well as Katanga.